Hi there guys, welcome back to another Java tutorial thing. In this little tutorial we're going to be going over collections programming. And for this collection we're going to be dealing with maps. I can't say that I really don't like maps because they do they're really cool in general. You'll see as we start maneuvering our way through this. So we're asked to write a program called count and area code that takes two parameters. One is a map of people's names and their phone numbers, and the second is an area code. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to return a number that represents the number of unique phone numbers that have the certain area code. Here is our map, for example. We have Marty, Rick, Bito, they all have individual numbers. In this case, we say, okay, let's take the map and let's look for the string 206. That's going to be our area code. Now, it says it should return 3, and you guys might be wondering, why does it return 3? Because I noticed that Marty has the 206, Bito has the 206, Stuart has it, Bob has it, Benson has it. You know, why am I not returning 5? Why am I returning 3? The reason for this is because we're only going to be returning the number of unique values, and in this case we have 3 unique phone numbers. Marty and Bito just so happen to share a phone number, Stuart and Bob share a phone number, and Benson is a loner and does not share a phone number. I'm assuming these are house phone numbers. I'm assuming so. We can assume that the map is not going to be null, and there are going to be no values or keys that are going to be equivalent to null. We're going to assume that the string is also going to be non-null, and that the numeric string will at least be exactly 3 characters in length. If it just so happens that the map is empty, meaning that we don't have any people in our phone book here, then we're just going to return 0 because we're sad and nobody signed their names or phone numbers in our yearbook. So we are allowed to create one collection of our choice to solve this problem. So we are allowed that data structure flexibility there. Our program cannot run at ON squared time or beyond. Basically, this means that we will not use any nested loops because nesting loops is not ideal for this kind of program. And yeah, n is the number of pairs here. And basically, I guess with all of that, we can get started here. Oops, I actually typed this up in another video, but the video had no audio, so it was really awkward typing it all up. So I'll go through this again. So let's start with the header here. Public static. It's going to return an integer because it's returning the number of people that have the unique phone number, and it's going to be count in area code. It said it was taking 2 individual parameters. The first one was a map, and maps have key values, and our key value is going to be a string, and our value is going to be a string. And let's just call this numbers because those are going to be people's phone numbers. And then we move on to say, okay, then we want to look at a string called the area code because we want to start comparing people that actually have the area code number there. Now, let's get started here. Let's brainstorm. Just like the magic card. If I was a fancy video editor, I would start throwing all my magic puns in here with the magic cards themselves and whatnot, but I am not that creative, and I am not using any video editor, so this is all raw here. This is all raw programming. So we're just gonna leave it at that. So we're gonna brainstorm here. What kinds of collections could we use? We could use lists, array lists, stacks, queues, all this other stuff, but we don't want to use any of those because what are we going to do with a stack? What are we going to do with the queue? I mean, yeah, we can store the key values in there. Well, I mean, I guess with a queue you can, yeah, they work, but we've got something that's a lot easier. We have something called a set collection, and in the set collection, it does not store duplicates. That is a key point here. That is what we're looking for. I would throw, something fancy there, but I can't. So I'm going to say, woo, just kind of flash it over and over again. Yeah, that. Duplicates. Oh, not duplicates, duplicates. So basically it means we'll take numbers, we'll store them into our set, and if we happen to cross a number that passes the area code but is already seen within our set, we don't care about it. We want to dispose of it, and our set will automatically do that. And yeah, because it was given in the spec here that we need to return unique phone numbers, a number for unique phone numbers. So when dealing with sets, we have a hash set, and I believe we also have something along the lines of a tree set. Now, assuming that tree sets and hash sets correlate to hash maps and tree maps, the hash set is faster. It does work, I believe, in I think it might be O of time. Yeah, O of time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below. Oops, somebody's calling. And then the tree set happens to work in log of n time, I do believe. Something along that. It might be n log of n time. But anyways, nope, stop calling. So anyways, let's set up the set here. So the way we set up a set is we declare the set, and we want to pass in the type of thing we're dealing with. In this case, we're dealing with strings, and let's call it unique numbers, just because we're not going to store any duplicates whatsoever. And let's call it a hash set, because hash sets are very quick, very fast. They do return things in random order, but in this case, we're just returning the size of the set. We're not going to be returning the elements of the set, so hash set will work perfectly fine. Now, in this case here, we want to loop through the map. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to loop through it. We want to get the phone numbers that match the area code, and we want to then store them into the set here. So, we'll loop through the map. Find match, and then add match to set. Sound good? Sounds good to me. So let's get through this. We're not going to use the typical for loop where you say I equals 0, I is less than map.size. In fact, that will not work. Instead, we are going to use something called a for each loop. In this case, what it'll do is we'll take a type, we'll take a name of that, a variable name of that type, and we'll basically take a map, and we'll take the key set of the map. Why the key set? Because we want to get the keys of the map, and you'll see why in just a second. So in this case, our type happens to be string. We want to deal with people's names because those are going to be the key values that we're dealing with, and we're dealing with numbers because that's our map, and we want to get the key set of the numbers there. I will post a link at the bottom of the video linking to what these individual methods actually do. So just in case some of you are confused as to why I'm saying .keyset, you can just feel free to read it later on. So dealing with the for loop, what do we want to do in the for loop? Well, we said we want to find a match. So how are we going to do that? Well, we can't really do that unless we declare another string where it's going to be the phone number of the individual person. And how are we going to get that phone number? Well, there just so happens to be a helpful method in the mapping class of Java that says get. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like the list.get. But in this case, what it ends up doing is the get method will take in a key, and it will return the value that corresponds to that key. So in this case, we're taking a name, and we want to see what phone number links to that name. Yeah, I guess I'll write it here in pseudocode. Take number from given name. That's what this does. Okay, and so great, we have the phone number that corresponds to the name. Now, what do we want to do? Well, we want to find a match to the code. So at this point, we know that we want to add the match to the set. So we're going to have an if statement here saying, okay, if phone number dot starts with, the reason why we use dot starts with is because it's a method from the string class, which will look at the very front of the string, and it will test, well, in this case it'll test whether or not it's true that the area code happens to be within that phone number or the key value that we were looking at. So in this case, we can write down area code instead of the string like 206 because it just so happens that the area code just so happens to be a string, and we can, because phone number is a string and area code is a string, we can say dot starts with of the string object itself. And anyways, what we want to do is, so we found a match here. This is the case that we found a match, and we want to add it to the set. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to call upon, we're going to take our set unique numbers, and we're going to add the value of the phone number that we have found to our set. And because we're adding to a set, it will not matter if we get multiple values that match different keys. If we have multiple values that are the same, our set will take care of that and get rid of the duplicates, because duplicates are never stored. Now, what happens is with this for each loop, we will run through the entirety of all the names of the key set. So we'll look at all the we'll look at all the keys, and we'll look at all the values that correspond to them. We'll start putting them within our set, and then once we break out of that for loop, what we want to do is we want to return a count of how many unique phone numbers started with that area code. So in this case, because we know that the unique phone numbers are stored within our set, we can call upon the size method of our set, and that will return the size of the set, but the size of the set just so happens to also be the number of unique phone numbers that are stored within the set. So that is the solution to this problem, and I'll see you guys in the next video.